And so like if something happened right now, all of a sudden, like a Chinese weather satellite takes out half of North Dakota for the second time in a month, or whatever that was. I don't know why there's 120 mile an hour winds blowing for no reason. Again, like that's just crazy. But it's nice to have the proper tools ready to go. Hey guys, Rick's here. So you never know when disaster is going to strike. It did strike again for a decent part of North Dakota. We had another windstorm in addition to the one we had last month, where we had sustained winds of over 100 miles an hour for 3 hours where I was at. Pretty good storm. This last one that hit just a couple days ago had winds of 119.6 miles per hour recorded. And it was a huge area that was affected, and it took out a lot of stuff. And so it was nice to have good friends who can help out other people that I knew had some problems. Some of my family actually had some severe damage, totally blocked into their house by huge 3-foot wide trees. And so I was able to, because of our existing assistance network we have up here with just good friends, good brothers, was able to put something together. Like they responded within an hour to show up so we could go up there. So within 2 hours of notifying some people that there was a disaster, we had a decent enough little crew to go up and render some kind of assistance. I know there's a lot of the guys, and a lot of you guys do volunteer work in that regard, storm relief and stuff. I think that's great that people do that. We were able to get some pretty strong dudes with chainsaws and stuff like that to go and really help out a bunch. So I want to share with you some of the observations here. So here in North Dakota, man, like many other places of the country, there's all sorts of different natural disasters and just other things that can take out your power in a second. I know that was last year or the year before that, I can't remember if it was 1 year ago, we had an ice storm in January, December and January, late December. And it took out the power where I live in North Dakota in the beginning of January with, if you understand how cold it gets here, that's dangerous. And it was out for 10 days. Our power was out for 10 days. I mean, North Dakota gets very cold. And so we learned a few things like, you got to have alternative power. If you've got your machinery parked in the garage and there's only the electric without the latch, or you can, you got to have stuff figured out for no power settings or analog or backup power if you have stuff that does rely on power that's critical. That being said, I have had for a few years a few different power charging stations. One of them is a Goal Zero. I think it's a 1600 watt, but I've used that. And that actually got us through those 10 days without power. I was able to maintain all my comms. I actually outlasted the internet towers and their emergency power networks because they have diesel generators at the internet relay towers. My internet is not on a hard line. It's on, it broadcasts through an antenna. And I was able to outlast them. I think they lasted 3 or 4 days, and then their stuff turned off. So I had my stuff running, and they didn't. And so I was able to maintain workflow from where I'm at. We had candles for candlelight. I was able to keep, with a very small generator, the power going for the furnace and stuff like that. And so you start to refine your systems. Of course, a guy has wood heat options that a guy could integrate into the old chimney system. And power generation is something in this day and age, if that's your workload, is on there, and your communication networks are all on there, and your information networks, that's kind of handy to have some extra power. So as the other guys were removing trees, we were able to help set them up to keep their food cold, because your freezer goes out in the summertime, your fridge goes out in the summertime, and it doesn't take that long especially when it's a little bit warmer out, for your food to go bad. And so having a couple different power stations on hand has been very helpful in real life. It's not just like a gimmick or something that's like a sales pitch. It's like actually very, very handy when you need it. If you know anybody who's like older too, and they have equipment or stuff like that that they need to have powered to live, that's also critical, right? So a lot of old guys, or there's different oxygen machines or CPAP machines and different monitoring equipment, people might have. It's nice to have some kind of form of power that can at least get you through a bad stretch if you need to get through. And so I was able to go and help them get that set up. We did alternate power units. I do have a new one. This is strange timing. And I'd like to thank the Chinese weather control satellites for making this test possible in such convenience. It's a joke. It's terrible to have a disaster. But I had a new power bank in for review that showed up. I planned on doing it that Friday, and that Friday morning is when that storm took out the power for family members I have. It's like, wow, that's perfectly and horrifically convenient. So rather than just doing a simulated test, I got to take that unit over and put it with some people that I know to actually help them in a disaster. So it actually was useful immediately after it arrived. Okay. And so this new unit is different than my Goal Zero, but that thing it works great and it holds a lot of juice and it lasts a long time, but it takes quite a while to charge that thing. Even if you plug it into AC power, it takes a while for it to charge. And if you have it into some good solar, you have good angle on a strong sun, you can charge it up in a few hours, maybe, like that, like after a day. This new unit though, I was shocked like how lightweight it is. It's called OUPES, OUPES. And it's a very lightweight kind of battery design. And it's very light. It's like a fraction of the weight of my other unit. And it has 4 plugins. And the thing charges in 1 hour on an AC. Sometimes you have power that comes on and off, for a little bit at a time. And it's nice to catch a charge when you can. And so I was able to plug this in, get it charged up. It actually was at 60% when it came in the box, and it topped it off in like 11 minutes. From 60% power to the top in 11 minutes or 13 minutes, it was 100%. Well, after running it all the way down to 0%, it was like 3%, or, it had just hardly anything left in it. It was down all the way as far as it can go. Plugging it into the wall, it's like 1 hour to go from 0% to 100% on normal AC power. That's a really cool feature, actually, because you can catch your charge in those moments where the power flickers back on for a minute. I've been to some countries years ago in Central Asia where the power is only on for a couple hours a week, and they have power infrastructure, but it's like rotating through who gets to use it. And so as soon as the lights would come on, everyone would get excited and they'd all yell out, "We got lights, we got lights." And they'd run around and plug all their stuff in real quick, because it might only be on for half hour, it might be on for 3 or 4 hours, they have no idea. And they charge all their computers, all their little flashlights, all their electric stuff, their phones, as much battery stuff as they can charge. Everyone hooks in when it's on for a minute. So in a circumstance like that, which is a lot of people who live in a very rural areas are out of power regularly, like people in the mountains, you got trees falling on power lines and stuff. Power's out all the time in the mountains. Or if you live way out in the boonies, it's something that happens regularly for rural America. And having something that can charge real quick is super handy. And so far it's working good. I'm going to end up doing a full review on that unit. I'll share. They did give me a link below for the unit. It's like pretty affordable, extremely lightweight, and has some kind of super wizard tech battery that charges up real fast. I'll give the full engineering layout and the performance parameters and specifications in the full review. But just as a heads up, we did get a chance to use that thing, so I'll share that below for the information on that thing. But we're able to get out there and actually assist people in pretty short order, because we all have our stuff kind of halfway ready to go. I have some silky saws, the big jumbo silky saws, One of my mentors recommended those years ago. That's one of the most handy tools you can ever have. Silky saw, it's like a very lightweight, they call it the Katana Boy 500, I think. And that thing cuts dang near as fast as a chainsaw with almost zero effort. If you're used to like cutting through branches and stuff like that with a not effective junk saw, man, it's nice to have something that really cuts. And we use that to remove stumps and roots and all sorts of stuff, because you can reach into places that you can't normally reach with a bow saw. And so, man, super handy that Silky saw has been, and I got one in each vehicle. We also have all our stuff usually topped off, all our power stuff. I've been running in the past the DEBUTE power stations too. We would take those to classes as backup power because the TV or the power would go out, which it strangely did one time because of a rattlesnake. Out in the Badlands, I don't know how a rattlesnake takes out the power, but it did. And so you can use it in all your DEBUTE batteries. You plug them on top of there, and it'll power this unit. And decent amount of electricity. You can run tools or whatever. And so having extra power on hand is really cool. The part I like about the new one that I got in is how fast it charges and how light it is. It's very, very lightweight, which is surprising. When I do the full review, I need to up my game on my technical proficiencies with batteries, because like there's some pretty modern crazy stuff that's coming out nowadays. Even the battery jump starter kit I got, it weighs as much as a little piece of styrofoam. It's so lightweight nowadays, that stuff. Magic technology. Very, very, very handy. And those little tiny jump starter kits, I remember when they weighed like a ton. And, big suitcase, you got to pull it, it's like full of lead. Those jump starter kits are very handy and lightweight. Now my wife can, with 2 fingers, lay it on the firewall or lay it up on the radiator support and hook it onto the battery and crank her over, start a big V8 pickup or a diesel pickup like our Cummins diesel. We'll start on that when it's dead in the water, completely 0% battery. Sometimes you leave the lights on or whatever. It's just a lifesaver. I used that one actually the other day too. For whatever reason, the guy's running and going, and you don't close the door on the vehicle all the way and it runs the battery down. Taking the kids to swim lessons, and I was able to use that jump starter kit. I'll leave the link for that below too, and the Silky saw and all that stuff. But good tools can actually be very helpful. You know what I mean? We're very, very overly reliant on machinery and electricity and automobiles, in this day and age. But that being said, having the right tools to keep your systems going is very, very, very helpful, and will save you huge inconveniences. Being stranded and needing a jump in a rural area, that can be 4 hours, 10 hours before you'll see someone with jumper cables. You're just kind of dead in the water. You wait for the, tow company to come out and jump you. It's just not going to happen quick. So if you're able to help yourself real quick, man, that saves a lot of headache. If you're able to generate your own power just real quick to fill in for like a 24-hour or 36-hour power outage, that can really save you too. So pretty cool. We were able to remove most of the trees that were blocking the access to the house, because both exits on the house were buried in trees. So there's no way older people could get out of there. You know what I mean? So we're able to clear that out. We got most of the dangerous stuff that was kind of laying on the ground right up front out of the way. And so they're good to go now. There wasn't a huge amount of damage on the house that I could see. There was some roof damage on the garage, but being able to render assistance is such a blessing for those that need it. And I know that I've appreciated everyone's help at times when I needed assistance in areas where I was not yet up to speed, or where I didn't have the tools yet or the experience. And so we're supposed to help each other. It's one of those deals humans used to do. If you guys remember, we take care of each other as much as we can, when we can, and I think that that's the way it's supposed to be. That's actually more important than tools, but a man who shows up to help with the proper tools is even more helpful. So kudos to anybody who's out there who's helpful in whatever ways you are. I know whatever your gifts are, Some of my buddies are super mechanical. Some of my other buddies are really good at automobiles, and if people need help, they're always there to help them get it going or whatever. You know, some people enjoy pulling people out of the mud or out of the snow. I remember one time when we lived out in Montana, my wife and I got like ridiculously stuck in the snow way up on this ridge in the mountains in the springtime in a four-wheel drive pickup truck, like an 83 4x4 pickup. And there's no way I thought in heaven that that sucker could get unstuck without a helicopter, like a Chinook picking it up. Because it's a ridiculous story. But there was a bunch of kids up there four-wheeling with their big monster trucks. You know, they have the big Ford jacked up pickup trucks, all the old vehicles. And they had all their pulleys and, you know, their chains and all that stuff. And they enjoyed helping us. So it's one of them reciprocal kind of gifts that keeps giving. I think that it's a good way to cure you from your own ails, is to help somebody else, right? So the old school responding where you can, when bad things happen or disaster strikes or whatever, is something that I think is one of the cool aspects about semi-rural culture. People who live out in the rural areas are still more apt to try to help if they can, you know what I mean? So that was a cool experience. I know everybody who volunteered their time really enjoyed doing it, and they found it to be a big blessing just for them. Everyone was feeling really good about being helpful. And I know that the people who needed help were absolutely needed help. There's no way they could have done that by themselves. It would be impossible. Some of that requires a team of people with the right tools. And some people, you know, are very, very blessed to do that. So if you are one of those guys that wants to help your community or those that you love or your brothers and sisters and be in a group that helps each other build your skills and use whatever skills you have and in whatever way you can, and have the right tools and be kind of ready so that you don't have to go find everything. And that's just a style of life that we do out here, is we're pretty ready. Whatever would happen, we already have the water stored, we already have the food, basic stuff. We already have some extra fuel on hand. You know what I mean? So like if something happened right now, all of a sudden, like a Chinese weather satellite takes out half of North Dakota for the second time in a month, or whatever that was. I don't know why there's 120 mile an hour winds blowing for no reason. Again, like that's just crazy. But it's nice to have the proper tools ready to go. If it's just buried in the garage and you can't find it in the dark, that's not going to help you. So having kind of a system, just think ahead a little bit. And as stuff happens where you live, you're going to sort of figure out, all right, this for next time, you're going to keep a notebook of all the stuff that you could have, you know, man, this deal, I should have this thing ready, right? So there's all sorts of materials. There's all sorts of experts out there too that you can consult with on that aspect of survival. And that's very helpful. Now, if you guys like survival in general from the aspect of human systems and developing ways to help each other according to ancient methodologies, you can join us on Patreon. And we have a lot of fun over there on our Patreon channel discussing that very topic from an ancient human structured system that works and has stood the test of time. So just wanted to share that little update. Yeah, man, did we get our butts handed to us again up here in North Dakota with the wind. Just, we get tornadoes, but the flatline winds covering a huge area, just knocking out entire counties. It's kind of strange, isn't it? What's going on with that? You guys let me know what you think is going on with the crazy wind below. And of course, I'll leave the link for that OUPES super lightweight turbo power generator. I'm going to review that. I'll leave a link for the Goal Zero if I can find one. I'll leave a link for that really cool silky saw and all the another one that's really cool, by the way, just while we're here. That DeWalt electric chainsaw is so handy because you can keep it in your car. And this is another one that was a mentor recommended. Like, dude, I know it's not the cool chainsaw. It's not for logging. It's not for serious chainsaw work, but If you don't have it on you, then you don't have it, period. And the DEWALT is electric. And you can keep that in the car. And you're not sloshing gasoline around in the back of the wife's car. So if she needs to move stuff out of the way of the car, she's blocked in, all you do is put it in the battery and hit the button. You don't have to start it. You don't have to be a mechanic. You don't have to be an expert at anything. You just like put the battery in and pull the trigger, and it cuts really good. We've cut down big trees and stuff with it. The DeWalt chainsaw, man, pretty gosh darn handy unit too, man. And we use that all the time now. I use it for cutting, fence posts the right length or whatever, and all sorts of stuff. So pretty cool. I'll try to find a link for that one as well. Super handy tools though, very handy. And there's all sorts of tricks to running those things that I learned from many people over the years that we can talk about and discuss if you come over to the Patreon channel. So I almost forgot something. I was just about to head back to edit in the footage for the thing we just talked about. I just heard from one of my buddies over at Arkin Optics that they are upping their price on their scopes. So if you want a really effective long-range precision scope for the cheap prices, I'd grab one while supplies last at that price, because those tariffs and stuff are kicking in. They're having to do a price increase. And if you use the code, of course, it'll save you a real decent amount of money. I am still testing that scope that we drug down the road with the chain. We have the SH4J and the LH series scopes that we drug down the road for 4,000 feet behind the pickup on a weight with the chain, ground off the turrets dang near. And we threw it off the roof of the shed over here. And then we dropped it right on the turrets with a weight on it, at like 6 foot off the ground, and did all sorts of mean things to this optic. And it had zero loss in resolution. Optical resolution. They had zero loss in tracking precision. I put it back on that outlier rifle, which also I believe on that the outlier stainless steel bull barrels. I don't know if you guys seen that review yet, but they shoot really well. I was able to get 10 shots in the same hole at 100 yards on our first test. It was filmed just like on film, continuous film. You can watch a review if you don't believe it. That thing shoots really, really well. They are right now, I heard in this, he told me this late last night, so I wanted to get that out today to let you know. I guess they're like, you buy one, you get one free. And they're pretty darn affordable. Even when you do all your add-ons, you can have it chambered, you can have it threaded, you can have it contoured if you want, you can have it threaded for your action. Those are all upgrade features, of course, but it's still very competitively priced with any other barrel in the market. And it's one of the most accurate shooting guns I have, and one of the cheapest rifles that I have. This kind of a precision custom setup on an Axis, Savage Axis action. But those barrels are buy one, get one free, if I remember correctly. I'll put the details in that below as well, okay? So if you're looking for a barrel and an optic, super high quality, for a really, really good deal, that's why I continuously work with those guys and share their new stuff with you. I am still working on the backdraft system. I've been having that in my possession for a while. I got the first preliminary report out on Patreon on how that's doing. We haven't done the full report yet, but stand by for more reviews, of course, as we continue to go. Just want to give you that PSA before I forget. Okay, have a good day, Rex out.